Brakes? Question mark? Maybe, probably. We'll get the fuel tank. If I had a chain on this thing, I could drive it. What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? Bruh. Chain and rip it. Yeah. What's going on, YouTube? Levi of Old Iron Off-Road. Back out here cranking on this stretched mini bike. And if you can see from the last video where we left off the engine plate was in there. I've taken some time off camera. I've gone ahead and welded everything up. We actually took this chassis, stripped it all the way down, had everything powder coated. No, we didn't. I just took it outside and rattle canned the bare metal. Got the seat fully mounted. Now, what are we doing today? Well, we have some engine mods that we need to take care of. The governor is coming out of this thing. We've got a Mikuni knockoff carburetor that needs to go on it. We have a metal flywheel that needs to go on it. From what I understand, these things have plastic flywheels in them and they don't like 5,000 RPM. Removing the governor should net us about 5,000 RPM. And we also have some valve springs to put in the head. Aside from that, we should be dangerous. Like, we should be able to drive this thing by the end of this video. And that's what I'm hoping for. So we've still got a couple of other little odds and ends to work out. It's crazy. That thing looks like a trail bike now, kind of. Like the setup, and it looks cool. I dig it. I guess that's a good thing. What am I talking about? What am I doing in my life? We're building a mini bike. Yeah, we're building a mini bike. Let's put some parts in this engine. So first order of operation, I believe, is going to be to get this carburetor off. And if you can imagine this belt drive torque converter that we put on, we're going to have to take off again. But first, carburetor needs to go away. All these springs and trash, this governor arm can come off. Yeah. Let's dig into it. I also ended up having to order a fuel tank for this thing because we ended up raising this engine plate up. The factory fuel tank won't fit in here anymore. So I've got a little round cylinder doodad coming. Hopefully I can mount it on the engine where the fuel tank went originally. This little doodad here, a little plastic gear, and this little arm is what regulates the throttle. There's a little tiny clip on that shaft that you have to get off. And right now it's currently laying down inside of that plastic gear, but we did get it. That little guy right there. About got away from us. There's that, and it looks like there might be one more thrust washer down inside of it. All right, governor is removed. Throw it in the trash. The last thing we want to do while we're in this, guys, we want to take this oil level plug out. So looks like we need an 8mm. This other bolt's kind of hard to get to. To line the timing dots up. We're gonna pull the cam out while we're in here. There's the cam. Man, it'd have been a good time to put a cam in this dude. I'm not gonna mess with the seal. I'm just gonna cut this on both sides. It's still sealed up. I don't have to worry about a big hole to plug. All this is a little float. So no oil level sender, just a plain on off. Cam back in. Might want to line the dots up on that guy. Dot. We're good right there. So zip the cover back on. Be ready for flywheel. and valve springs. Well, the internet seems to think that you need a flywheel puller to pull this, which I don't see any threaded bosses or anything to get a puller in. I'm not scared. I mean, I think we can make it come off with what we got. Well, they acted like that was some drama that you needed a puller to do that. I don't think that was worth getting wound up over. Holy crap. Oh yeah. I don't know how much weight we removed, but we removed a significant amount of weight from this thing. Cool. Flywheel puller. Yeah, okay, I'll go get one of those. Right after I torque that nut. Good. So this crazy significant amount of weight. This is a solid chunk of cast. And the one that I have is like aluminum or magnesium, and it's actually got some cast or some steel bedded into it for the trigger. I deposit this in the scrap bin. This thing's gonna go so fast. The only thing we really have left to do at this point, engine-wise, besides mounting the carburetor, go ahead and pull the valve cover and put our valve springs on. So before you pull the valve retainer, obviously you want to make sure that you have some means of keeping the valve from dropping down inside of the cylinder. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can actually have an adapter that threads in the spark plug hole, put some air in the cylinder to hold them up. Or you can put some string or something down in the cylinder, leave a tail hanging out, roll it up just to give that valve something to hit before it falls all the way in. I'm gonna get that set up and then we'll pull the valve retainer out and change the springs out. I don't know what I'm shifting, but something's getting it. End of a long day here in the shop working on that thing. Got all kinds of goodies going in it. But I thought I would take a few minutes since we're to this point. We should be able to see if this thing's gonna run here pretty quick, which again, in hindsight, I wish I would have actually cranked this thing before I took it apart and completely voided the warranty. Anyway, we have removed the studs for the carburetor. So I think first thing we'll do is go ahead and throw the slide style carburetor on there. And I also picked up this doodad as the fuel tank that was on the engine will not work. But I think we can stuff that guy in there and have a fuel tank. So, carburetor stuff. Let's do it. Carburetor, yeah. China carburetor, yeah. I don't know. This thing is gonna be fast. We got an air filter. Oh man, look, that's 20 horse right there. All right, so we got the carb together. The next thing we need to do is put a throttle cable in, and actually one came with the kit. So I'm gonna take the throttle apart, get that in, get it routed, and then we'll go ahead and put it together into the slide, and we'll kind of do a little video of how to do that. I don't think it's too complicated. I'm not super well versed in slide carburetors, but I do know the top of this just unscrews. Got this little doodad, got a sealing washer, and we've got the slide, the needle, and spring. So we'll have to do a little bit of disassembly in this and fish the throttle through, but we'll make that happen. So throttle cable, this guy has a spring. Obviously we've got the throttle cable. We're gonna go through the little retainer doodad first, which has basically a piece of rubber. It's gonna last all of a week before it rots out. But anyway, has that. There's also a little metal retainer down in here that keeps the needle kind of pushed down. That's fine. If it falls out, just be aware of it. So slip this guy over the car, or over the cable. There's a slot in the side of the slide that you're gonna route the cable through. Let it pop into its bore, boom, just like that. When you're putting the slide back in, there's a little brass or metal needle in here, or a little nub sticking off the inside of the carb. Make sure that you don't like force the slide in, that you line it up with that, and you just kind of put it together gently. So what do we like? We've got throttle. We've got a throttle. We've got an engine. We've got, I've got to fix this. I've got to tie the kill wire back together, which I could start it without that. I just won't be able to shut it off. I'll have to rig up like a little bottle to bottle feed the carburetor, which that should be easy enough to do. Yeah, let's put some oil in it, finish wiring that up. I'm gonna rig up a bottle. We're gonna fire this thing. So this is what I've got, and this is what we're gonna use. Some good old Rotella. I have no idea how much oil this thing takes. Half a quart. Ooh, that's a lot. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I totally started to just twist these wires together and heat shrink them, but I thought, no, as soon as I do, they'll come apart, and then I won't be able to shut it off or something stupid. Now we got a kill switch, proper kill switch. And now we got oil. We just need to rig up a fuel bottle. Oh, looks cool. Kind of cool seeing it down on the ground. We need a fuel tank quickly. We're gonna put some gas in the water bottle. We should have a fuel tank. Transferring fuel. We get a tie wrap or something to zip tie this thing back to the back of the chassis so I don't have to hold it. I mean, do we really even need that aluminum tank that I got from Amazon? I mean, this will totally work. Squeeze it too tight on there. Totally ride to California like that. Yeah. And I don't know which way its choke is up, maybe. That's choke on. All right, let's see what happens. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing's snappy. Oh man, that pipe's hot on the back of the old leg. Boy, brakes? Question mark? Maybe, probably. We'll get the fuel tank. If I had a chain on this thing, I could drive it. What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life, bruh? Chain and rip it. Yeah. Yet another day out here in the shop. I was a little excited last night and thought I could slap a chain on it and go, but that's definitely not the case. So first thing I need to take care of is this caliper bracket needs to be permanently attached, and it needs like a slide so it can adjust with the wheel. We need to do a little bit more clearance in on the inside of the engine plate so I can push the motor over just a little bit more. We need a fuel tank, and we need to put the chain on. Then we can ride this thing. So first thing I'm gonna do is snatch this engine off, go ahead and clearance the frame plate. I'm probably gonna drill out the engine too to 3/8 because that's what I slotted the frame plate for. We're 3/8 bolts, and right now I just have 5/16, and it's a little wobbly. As much as this thing vibrates, I'm definitely gonna wanna use top lock nuts or some kind of a locking fastener on this thing. So make that happen, caliper bracket, all the things. Then we'll be ready to party. Let's get into it. Well, I think that's where the fuel tank's gonna live. I don't know how comfy that's gonna be. It's actually centered up, and the reason being is this thing has a fancy petcock on it, which is great, but when you try to mount it here, the petcock hits the top of the engine, and like there's just no room for the fuel line. So I dig it. I don't hate it. Where we can turn it? No. Yeah, that's where it's gonna live. So probably gonna have to weld a tab off the side of the chassis to at least run some kind of a clamp around. So we'll make that happen real quick. Well, I went to the store and struck out on clamps. But those clamps were probably too good for this project anyway. Big old fat industrial cable ties. Yes, please. And we're even gonna be like super fancy, and we're gonna put the end underneath it so you can't see it. That's money, dude. Wonder how uncomfortable the fuel tank's gonna be right here. Honestly, I think this thing's got like the perfect stance to it. The wheelbase, it just looks cool. Yeah, it's not too bad. Actually, probably be a good reminder that there is an open torque converter by your right foot. So hopefully nobody will get their leg tore off. Let's put some fuel in it and rip it. Wah, wah, wah. Well, it was fun and it was ripping and we were doing burnouts and I didn't get any footage of that because I was too busy ripping it around, and then I suddenly felt it do some craziness and it actually flipped the belt, which I ordered 3 more belts and I think this one's going to be okay for at least a couple more rips. But then I realized that you can actually align the pulleys on these things, and I didn't know that was a thing. This one had a big thrust washer behind it. The 2 inner sheaves are supposed to be running in line with each other, and they definitely weren't. So I'm pretty sure that contributed to shredding the belt. So I'm gonna get this thing aligned, slap this belt back on, and then we'll do some burnouts and I'll get some videos.
What'd you do?
I broke it again.
Imagine that.
This thing isn't tolerating the thrashing. I don't know. Maybe a taller gear ratio. I don't know. I think that's part of it. I think it's got too much low end. It's hooking too hard on the bottom end. Of course, I was trying to do donuts with it like an idiot, and it is a mini bike. It's not a full-size bike. So, and our belt is definitely trash already. So that's part of it. But we're gonna piece it back together. Good, clean, wholesome fun, easy project, good break from the norm, something that anybody with a little bit of mechanical knowledge and ability can pretty much make one of these. I mean, you don't have to have a plasma table to make that engine plate, a grinder and a drill, and you can do everything that I've done here. I mean, come on, we zip tied the gas tank onto it, you know? So I think that's all we've got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed us ripping around on this little silly project. Like I said, sometimes you just need a break from the norm. But we've got some updates coming on this guy soon. You can see we got a cage happening in there. Thanks for watching. We appreciate everyone taking the time at home to watch these videos. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, enjoy.